Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So we will be talking about memorization, techniques, how to memorize, when to memorize, and anything concerning memorization, useful tips, everything that I have learnt bi'idhnillah in my time when I memorized, and also as my time as a teacher, teaching, alhamdulillah, the Quran and helping brothers memorize the Quran. So technique is crucial. Technique or having a method is crucial. And this is something that was game changing for me. Alhamdulillah, when I was introduced, I didn't really know there was such thing as a technique to memorize. And I didn't realize the importance of having a technique. So this, alhamdulillah, was introduced to me by my sheikh in Egypt, alhamdulillah. And when I applied it straight away, I was able to memorize twice as quick. Why? In essence, as you will see, this technique focuses on engaging your visualization element of memorization, your audio element of memorization, engaging your heart as well and your tongue. And it also does not require you to repeat the ayah, for example, 500 times or even 100 times, as some methodologies do require you to do, which to many seems impossible or overburdensome. Or you simply just haven't got the time to sit there and repeat the ayah that many times. Now, I'm not going to take away from the fact that repetition is absolutely crucial in memorization, but bi'idhnillah, inshallah, we will see how this methodology enables you to not repeat that many times, but still memorize effectively, inshallah. So let's get straight into it. Bismillah. So the first thing, let's just go over some tips. Number one, memorize in the morning. This is the blessed time. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Burika li ummati fi bukuriha." Blessed for my ummah are the early hours. This is absolutely crucial, both even in terms of the dunya and of course your deen. From a worldly perspective, if you were to rise early, you would find that you'd get a lot done in your day. Rise earlier than others when others are sleeping. In fact, just to go on a little bit of a tangent, even millionaires, if you look at their routines, they wake up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning. Why? Not to go to work, because they actually, some of them meditate. They do meditation. We, of course, pray. They meditate, right? And then they may read a book, and then we read the Quran. And then they get their day started. They might do some exercise, and then they start their work. But they start early, they rise early. Okay. And this enables you to maximize your productivity. So to do this, you have to go to sleep early as well. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Of course, there is the challenge of, in the UK especially, the summer time where Fajr is really early. Realistically, you're not going to stay up, and you're not expected to stay up after Fajr when Fajr is like 2:30 in the morning or 3 in the morning. So here you have to adjust, and inshallah we will talk about, and I will try to propose to you in the, if not this module, the upcoming modules, inshallah, the productivity module most likely, about how to have a routine that works for you in the summer that will enable you to memorize the Quran, and also a routine for the winter. The next tip that I will give you before we get into the technique is, and this is all extremely important, don't undermine any of these, making dua, seeking the help of Allah, because you need to, goes back to what we said in the mindset module, realize that you're not going to achieve anything in this life except if Allah grants you the tawfiq, the success, and the ability to do so. Don't think that you became a doctor due to your intelligence. You became an engineer due to being great at maths. Don't think that you achieved anything because of yourself. Rather, Allah is the one who gave you your intellectual capacities, your brain, your eyes, your ears, your health. Had He willed, you would not have had any of those, and therefore you would not have achieved any of what you achieved. Likewise, with memorizing the Quran, it will only come to you, you will only achieve it, whether it is a small amount or a big amount, if you ask Allah to make it easy for you and to bless it for you. And part of that is renewing your intention. Part of that is having a strong why. If you have a strong why, this is the key to achieving any goal. Even people, for example, who are trying to work out and get physically fit, they achieve it because they have a strong why. Their motivation is strong. Their goal is clearly defined, which makes their motivation strong. And again, this goes back to what I mentioned in the previous course, the mindset and the motivations course. Inshallah, have a look at what I mentioned about the motivations for memorizing the Quran, some of the virtues associated with memorizing the Quran, like the Prophet ﷺ telling us that the best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. And then the next thing is using the same mushaf, because as we said, that part of memorization, the most important part is visualization. And you see this in the technique that you have to visualize the position of the ayah on the page. Okay? And let's say you're memorizing Surah Ikhlas. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. If you have the Uthmani print mushaf, you will know that Surah Ikhlas is on the top left of the page. Okay? Top left. So you need to be able to visualize the position of the ayah on the page, and therefore you need to have a consistent mushaf that you use throughout your memorization. Don't chop and change. That will confuse your visualization and confuse your memorization. Then you have to, this just comes back to what I just said about having a why. Targets. Okay? Set yourself realistic targets. Many of you in this community are working Muslims, busy working Muslims. And therefore, a realistic goal for you is not necessarily to memorize the whole Quran. And I'm not going to kid you in saying that that will happen. Then that can happen, but ultimately it requires time and commitment. You know, unless you have 3 hours a day to give to the Quran consistently, at least 6 days a week, then it's not really going to happen. Okay? But what can happen is a lot. You can still do a lot. So don't focus on what you can't do. Focus on what you can do. Would you be happy, for example, in 5 years from now, let's say in 5 years from now, you memorized 5 juz of the Quran? To have 5 juz of the Quran, would that be something that you would be proud of and you'd be, Alhamdulillah, I think that I have achieved something? I'm sure many of you would answer yes to that. So set yourself realistic goals, okay? And I think that every single Muslim should, and Muslimah should seek to memorize at least juz 30 of the Quran. One juz of the Quran, and that one juz that you memorize is the last juz 30, because it's the easiest. Okay, because it has short surahs and it is often repeated. And then you must designate a space and you assign this space for your memorization, because psychologically you will associate this space with memorization. So try to stick with the same environment. Of course, goes without saying, quiet, no distractions. Okay. So even if that means not doing it in the masjid, then don't do it in the masjid, because if that means you're going to get distracted and people are going to come to you and divert you, then that's not going to be productive. So pick a one place and stick to it, inshallah. And another useful tip is before, and this I will mention in more detail, before you memorize, you listen to the ayah being recited, and you also read the translation so you can connect your heart with what is being recited in terms of understanding it, and therefore making that memorization the memorization easier for you to do because you're connecting with it. You understand what is being said. Okay. So, alhamdulillah, that covers some of the um, initial, you could say, pre memorization factors that you must sort of consider and implement. And now, bi'idhnillah, we will look at what you do in terms of actually memorizing and how to actually memorize, inshallah.